You want to find the distance between the centers of a circle. These are two sentences. So the word here is a sentence, meaning that the circles are many. But according to the questions that we are about to solve, we are having two different circles, right? So assuming that these are the circles that we want to find their center. So this is the center of the circle. This is the center of the second one, right? So this is just an illustration. And then the second question says that you should find the equations of the line which passes through the centers of the circle, right? So we want to determine the equations of the line that will pass through these centers. Is that okay? Not drawn to a scale, right? So but this is the idea behind the question. Now look at the question. Dealing with the first part of the question that says you find the distance between the centers of the circle. Now you must know how to find the distance, so that is why you are required to understand what to use. I'm using a board marker to write on this board. Is that okay? This is what I'm using. So the question here is, what are you going to use? That is something that you should ask yourself first before you start, right? So let me change this pen. So let me have a different pen here. And then the question is, what? Is that okay? So I can wipe this guy out. So let's say what are you going to use? So the question is what. That is the question you should ask yourself first, right? So what are you going to use to solve this particular distance question here? Now here another one comes to the idea where you should know the distance formula. So that is where the Pythagoras theorem is saying yes. So the distance formula, so the distance, we don't know the letters that we are going to use here, so very soon we replace the sentence. Okay, since we are dealing with the sentence, why don't we call this one the first center of the first circle, that is the C1, and then the second one to be C2, right? So using the distance formula, that's going to be the square root of, that's the S2 minus S1 everything squared plus y2 minus y1 everything squared, right? Knowing the distance formula, we are free to go. Now the only question you should be asking yourself is, where are these x1 and s2 are coming from? That is, this thing here comes from the Pythagoras theorem. Is that okay? So the Pythagoras, that says that the distance from, let's say, A, B, and then C. So if you are here, so maybe you want to pass through your friend's place before you get to your destination, which is the C in this case. So someone may say that walking from here to this place will be the shortest one, but you want to pass it to get it. So what the Pythagoras theorem is saying here is that either you walk from here and passes through your friend's place before you get to the destination, is going to be the same distance, right? So the distance doesn't change if you walk from here straight to the destination. That is why we say that this place plus this here squared is going to be the square of this side, the longest side. So that is where the Pythagoras theorem is coming from. That is where we got the idea in dealing with the distance between two things. Okay, with this in mind, now where are we going to have the variables, right? So let's go and look for the variables. So looking for the variable here based on the informations given to us is all. We have two different circles. These are all the informations that we have. So these are the equations of the circle. Now one thing you must know, that you must know the general definitions of the equations of a circle. Is that okay? So as it stands here, this is the general equations of the circle. So this is the general. So having the general, right? So general equations of a circle in mind, that says that x squared, so you must, right? So x squared plus what, y squared, and then plus what, 2gx plus 2fy, and then plus c, everything is going to be equal to 0, right? You must, this is an obligation. Okay, you must know these general equations of a circle. So this is a general. So based on anything that is being given to you, you are going to compare, right? So comparing the two, so let's compare this one. This one almost looks similar to the general equations of a circle. These are the definitions of a circle, just that this number here, which is the c in this case, is outside the equal to sign. So bringing it inside will make us have something similar to from here. That is your x squared plus what y squared minus 2s, and then plus what 4y, and then this guy here subtracting 4 from both sides, so that's going to be equal to 0. So this and this look similar. Is that okay? Okay, now that you have, why are we doing this? We are looking for the these guys here. So that's the x2, s1, and then what y2, and then y1. These are the people that we are looking for. Okay, now having that, remember this definition here is for the distance between the two centers, right? So the distance between the centers of the circle, so the distance between the two of them. Is that okay? So now we need to know the center. So the centers are our the x1 and the y1, and then the second center is also what s2 and then y2, right? So the centers is what we are going to find a difference between. So we need to derive the centers from the equations given to us. So how can we get a center from this equation? Another thing you must know is that when you are given the general equations of a circle, finding the center, that is going to be, so this is one thing you must also know. The center is that's a negative g comma what negative f, right? So this is another obligation that you have to have a clear understanding of. Is that okay? So you must know this, you must know this one, and then before you can proceed. Now how can we get a g and a f from what this equation given? So if you are someone who is already on this channel, you know that we've already have a video on this thing. But if you are new here, make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any content like this. If you're having any questions, so try and comment along so that we can reach it. If you have any special topic that you want us to help you with, make sure that you comment along. Okay, now how do you find the gene? So we are going to compare the two, right? So this is what we know, right? So we know that this is the general equations of, and you are giving us this thing, so you have to compare the two whether they are the same. So we have the s squared, and then y squared, and then y squared. Remember, we are looking for g and f, right? So that we can negate the two of them to have our first center, right? Okay, so the g is here, and then the f is also here, right? So comparing this with the one that are being given to us, you can see that the 2g is a friend of what? A friend of x, right? So 2g is a friend of x. Is that okay? And then 2f is also a friend of y. So meaning that if this is a friend of x, in this case that's a negative 2, meaning that we have 2g from our general equation, which is a friend of x, is going to be negative 2 as compared to these people, right? So we are comparing the two. So here you can see clearly that we have our gene to be negative 1. Is that okay? So a friend of x here is negative 2, but what we know that the friend of x is going to be negative g. So doing the same thing for the f, so we have a 2f, that's going to be here obviously f here is a friend of y, so we have what 4, so meaning that that's going to be equal to 4. So we have our f to be equal to 2, so divide both sides of by 2. Okay, now that you have this g, right? So this is one g, and then you also have the f, then we can easily find the center. So the center here is going for the first equation, so this is the equation that we are dealing with. Is that okay? So this is the equation that we are dealing with. So we have why don't we, at the beginning I said that let's name the first center to be c1, so meaning that we have the first center to be equal to, that is the definitions of the center, also negative g and then negative f. So negating this one, so that is going to be, we have negative of negative 1 because we have g to be negative 1, right? And then comma what, we have f to be what? F to be 2, so the definitions are negative f. So here we are going to have 1 comma what, negative 2. Is that okay? So we have 1 comma what, negative 2 to be our first center. Once again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new here. Give us a thumbs up if you are enjoying our video. Okay, so that is it for the first part. Now the same scenario, the same approach must be done for the second equations of the circle. So this is the equations of the circle. Remember what you are looking for. So this one is going to be the x1 and the y1. Remember the points are in pairs, so the x comma what comma y. Since we are going to have two different people, we have to name this one x1 and then what our y1, right? So the x1, so we need to find the x2 and the y2 from the second equation. So why don't you pause the video, give it a try, and then check whether you are going to have the sentence. So what is the value of the C2, which is the second center of the question given to? I wish you can come here and come and write the solution here. Okay, by the way, make sure that you write your answer in the comment section, right? So make sure that you write your answer in the comment section. Okay, with the same approach, so without wasting time, let's move on. So here we have, from here you have to write that to be in this form. That is going to be the x squared and then plus what y squared, and then minus 3s and then minus of 5y minus 2, everything equal to 0, right? Straightforward. So now doing the comparison, we have the 2g to be equal to negative 3. So we have our g here to be negative 3 on what? On 2, right? So that is for the g. So what about the f? So you have a 2f to be equal to, that is negative 5. So you have our f here to be equal to negative 5 on what? On 2. Is that okay? So very simple and straightforward. Now we know the definitions of the center. So the definition of the center, earlier one that says that negative g and then negative f. So that is the definitions of the center. So negating, let's negate this guy here, right? So negating this one, that tends to be a positive. So we have a 3 on 2, and then as well also the second one is going to be 5 on 2, right? So 5 on 2. Now these are the two sentences that we have now. So with these two sentences, we can easily find the distance between the two of them. Just like having 2 points, you want to find the distance between the two of them. So these are the 2 points. So let's plug them inside this definition. So from here, these are the definitions that we are given. So that is going to be the square root of x2. So this one is going to be the s2, this is the x1. Don't be confused, right? So it's moving in pairs. So x comma y. That is how we have the points. Is that okay? So since you have two different points, so we are naming them x1 and the s2. So this will be our x1 and then y1, and then here is going to be the s2 and the y2. Okay, so the s2 here, that's the 3 on 2 minus x1, which is 1, right? Everything squared. So that is what the definition is saying, and then plus y2, that's the 5 on 2, and then minus, be very careful with the negative. So minus 2. Remember the y2, that is the 5 on 2, and then we have the y1 to be equal to negative 2. That this negative has nothing to do with the negative in the definition. So the y1 itself is on negative 2. So put me at where you see me. So meaning that I need a y1. So what is the y1? Y1 is negative 2. Put the whole negative 2 over there. Be very careful with when you are dealing with negative numbers. Okay, solving this thing, maybe you may pause and come back and come and write the answer here. So yeah, if you have any question dealing with this calculation, don't hesitate to comment along. So I have 82 on 4. So taking the square root of this one, that is going to be, this guy should be somewhere square root of 20.5, yeah, 20.5, which you have to break down to have a 4.53 units. So this is the distance. Always write it in this form, right? So most of the time, if you are not restricted, make sure that you bring it down to the basic. So this is going to be the distance between these two sentences with the distance formula. Is that okay? Okay, perfect. Now the second part of the question, that says that I should find the equations of the line that passes through the center. So as I said earlier, here again you must know what to use. So what we are going to use here, that is the equations of the line that says that y minus what y1 is equal to m to bracket s minus what x1. So this is the equation. This is the general for sure. This is one of the general equations of the line if you know the information is available at your disposal. So this is a little bit similar or maybe different from the slope equations of a line. And that is just for another video. If you want to know more about that and then you are new here, just try and check the playlist down below so that you can have the slope equations of a line. But here, and that is this is what the definition for the general equations of line. For you to use any definition in mathematics, all that matters is that you should know the elements are available, right? So the players, I normally call them players. So players that you are going to look for is this guy, which is the y1, as well as its partner, the x1, right? And then finally we have the gradient, right? So m stand for what? The gradient, and then this x1 and s1 are just any points we want to use or being given to us. Is that okay? So now are we giving the question here is that are we giving the gradient from the question? No. So there's a big no to the gradient, so you are required to find the gradient. So by using the gradient definition, so here we are using the m to be the gradient. That is all the y2 minus y1 divided by x2 and then minus x1. Is mathematics is all about what to use and how to use it. With some little bit thinking, then you are there. Is that okay? Okay, perfect. So these are the definitions of the gradient. Once again, where are these people coming from, right? So earlier one we've already what are the points here? The points were the centers as we've already find. So using the same point here, we have the y2 earlier one to be what 5 on 2, and then minus what? Minus 2, right? So minus 2, and that is the point that we are giving. And then the s2 was that 3 on 2, and then minus 1. Is that okay? So these are the 2 points that we have earlier on from the information given to us. Okay, perfect. So solving this thing, I think you should arrive at somewhere to be 9, right? So don't hesitate to comment along if you have any problem dealing with this simple calculation. Okay, since we have our m to be equal to 9, so this is for the m, right? So we already have the m to be equal to 9. So now how do you write the equations of the circle? We need the x1 and the y1. So for the x1 and the y1, so since you have 2 points, you may choose to use the first one or the second one, right, without any obligation here. So here you may arrive at the same, you must arrive at the same answer irrespective of the points that you are going to use. Is that okay? So here I don't want any difficulties dealing with fractions, so maybe I may choose the first center, which is the first point. That is what 1 comma negative 2. This is what we had for the first center, right? So the second one was what was the second point? That was 3 on 2 comma 5 on 2, right? So this is the second point. So these are the two points that we have. So with these 2 points, you may choose to go for one. If you are all that fast, you can go for the fraction, then substitute that into this equation and then move on. But if you don't want to anything, or you find it difficult to deal with fractions, why don't you, for simplicity, why don't you go for this one, right? Just go for this simple point and then plug that into the equations of the line that says y, we are not doing anything with this y. So our y1 will be our point here, that is all negative 2, right? Remember, if you are dealing with negative, make sure that you put everything into brackets. So we have our gradient. So gradient here, that is all the 9, and then we have the let's have our x. We are not doing anything with the x, so the x1 is going to be our point here, which is what 1, right? So having this thing that, so you have y plus 2 is going to be, so expand this one, we have a 9s and then minus 9. Is that okay? So bring everything to the right hand side of the equation. So we should have your y, so straightforward variables first. So y followed by this guy here that tends to be negative 9x, and then we have the plus 2, and then this guy also comes, and then we have plus 9. Everything is going to be equal to 0, right? So we have the y minus 9s and then plus 11 equal to 0. So this is going to be the equations of the line that passes through the centers of the circle, right? So that is how simple you tackle the mathematics question. If you want more of this question, make sure that you comment along. Give us a thumbs up if you gain some values from this video. Thank you for watching.